Welcome to the Deep Dive. We unpack complex ideas, get straight to the insights you need.
Glad to be diving in.
Today, we're tackling something that's, well, it's quietly reshaping everything around us. Artificial intelligence.
It really is everywhere now.
Exactly. From the recommendations popping up on your screen to, complex diagnostics, guiding medical decisions.
Yeah.
AI is truly ubiquitous. But here's the question we're exploring today. What if we approach this powerful technology not just with fear or simply focusing on profit,
Right?
but with a foundational belief in human flourishing, a spirit of genuine service?
That's quite a radical reframing, isn't it? And it's precisely our mission today. We're taking a deep dive into a really illuminating perspective on AI.
Okay.
It draws heavily from Brian C. Alston's book, Abundant AI, Harnessing Artificial Intelligence for Kingdom Advancement, Ethical Innovation, and Human Flourishing.
So we're going to explore how Alston proposes weaving spiritual wisdom and ethical principles directly into the design, the very deployment of AI.
Yes, all aimed at authentic human betterment. And our insights today, they come straight from his detailed arguments, his real-world examples. He provides quite a few.
Right, and the big idea here, it seems, isn't just about ethical AI in the usual sense.
No, it's deeper. It's presented as a tool for service, designed to actively manifest things like justice, mercy, humility, love.
Prioritizing the most vulnerable, not just the bottom line.
Exactly, a radical redefinition.
Okay, so let's unpack this core vision then, moving from fear to abundance. For a long time, the public conversation around AI, it really was dominated by fear, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. You saw everywhere. Sci-fi films, books.
Sentient machines taking over, dystopian futures, humanity enslaved or obsolete.
And there were, very real anxieties underneath that. Losing control, privacy erosion, unintended consequences stacking up.
That initial narrative, that sort of existential threat, it definitely had roots in how quickly AI algorithms started influencing things.
Yeah, social media feeds, financial markets, you name it. We saw glimpses of how unregulated or poorly understood AI could cause real harm.
But Alston champions a shift, you said, from alarmism to, what was the term?
Stewardship. He calls it a posture of stewardship.
Stewardship. Okay, that's a fascinating reframe. What does that mean practically?
Well, it emphasizes that AI systems are fundamentally artifacts of human design. They're not alien invaders.
Right, they reflect us.
Precisely. They inherently reflect the values or the lack of values embedded by their creators, which puts the responsibility firmly back on us, on humans, to shape our technological futures.
So when we see biased outcomes, it's not really the machine's fault per se?
No. It's the data, the way it was curated, the societal structures that let that biased data proliferate in the first place.
Which calls for what? More careful work.
It calls for rigorous auditing, definitely. Diversifying development teams, fostering interdisciplinary collaboration to really mitigate that harm before it happens.
So, thinking about this for our listeners, for you, what does it mean? It means viewing the AI you interact with
as a direct reflection of its creator's values.
Yeah.
It pushes us to consider the human intentionality behind the algorithms shaping our world.
And this leads us right into the problem Alston calls ethical collapse. He details how these happen when profit-driven incentives just completely override moral considerations.
But we've seen really stark examples, unfortunately.
Automated recruitment systems discriminating against women, minorities.
Predictive policing algorithms unfairly targeting already over-policed communities.
Social media algorithms pushing divisive content, driving polarization.
And even diagnostic tools underperforming on underrepresented populations. It's quite a list.
These aren't just technical glitches then, are they?
That's the crucial insight Alston brings. These ethical collapses, they aren't technical bugs. They're moral failures baked right into the system design.
Beginning, how so?
Well, when development teams focus exclusively on metrics like accuracy or speed or return on investment.
Which happens a lot.
It happens a lot. They often overlook, sometimes unintentionally, sometimes not, the crucial social implications.
So this perspective, it reframes technology itself, not neutral.
Not neutral at all. It sees technology as a moral agent capable of profound harm or potentially healing, based entirely on how it's designed and deployed.
That sounds incredibly damaging when it goes wrong. Is there a viable path forward, or are we just sort of destined to keep patching these wounds after the fact?
Alston argues there is a solution. He calls it redemptive design.
Redemptive design, okay.
It's an intentional infusion of restorative and transformative values directly into the technology from the ground up.
So not just fixing problems, but aiming higher.
Exactly. It seeks to actually repair damages and envision more just systems. Think about AI systems used for targeted ads.
Right.
They could be redesigned, potentially, to empower users with greater data control, real control.
Or like predictive algorithms in education.
Yeah, instead of just flagging kids, they could be reoriented to identify at-risk students for tailored support, shifting from surveillance to genuine upliftment.
That's a powerful shift in mindset. But what does it actually mean for intelligence itself to be abundant? That word feels significant.
It is. It sounds like it's going far beyond just, typical IQ scores or memorizing facts.
Yeah.
And it is. Alston contrasts conventional intelligence, often narrowly measured, with abundant intelligence. This concept is expansive, relational, and generative.
Generative, how so?
It's knowledge applied in service of others. Creativity leveraged for the collective good. Learning as a dynamic reciprocal process, not just passive intake.
Okay, so how does this abundant intelligence actually show up? How do we see it in practice?
Well, one key way is by augmenting human creativity rather than stifling it, which is a common fear, right?
Definitely. That AI will replace human artists or writers.
But imagine AI analyzing vast historical texts, scientific research, maybe theological writings, to surface unexpected interdisciplinary connections.
Sparking new ideas.
Exactly. Sparking intellectual synergy among diverse experts. The AI becomes a bridge, fostering generative conversations and collaborations that might not happen otherwise.
So it's about AI helping us see connections we might miss, not doing the thinking for us. That's a compelling difference.
Precisely. Another manifestation is resilience in complexity.
Okay.
AI can contribute to community resilience by surfacing diverse perspectives and systemic interdependencies, things we often overlook when we're in the thick of it.
Like in a crisis.
Yeah. For example, AI-driven simulations could model the cascading impacts of climate interventions before policies are enacted, helping communities adapt more effectively.
And it also sounds like it has a deeply human component running through it.
It absolutely does. Abundant intelligence insists on honoring individual dignity.
How does that translate into system design?
It means designing systems that proactively identify and support marginalized voices, recognizing that every human, in Alston's framework, drawing from theology, bears the imago Dei, the image of God.
That concept, the imago Dei, seems central here.
It's vital, because if we believe in the inherent dignity of every single human being, then the AI systems we create must reflect and uphold that same dignity. They can't be neutral on that.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Imagine an AI-curated fellowship program that intentionally blends young entrepreneurs from underserved regions with seasoned industry veterans, specifically valuing their unique life experiences, not just their credentials.
That sounds like this approach really redefines what success even looks like. It moves beyond just the technical metrics, doesn't it?
Completely. How does honoring individual dignity reshape what we even measure?
Yeah.
It means shifting from those typical output-focused KPIs, accuracy, speed, efficiency, to impact-oriented outcomes.
Like what? What kind of outcomes?
We're talking about measuring things like reduce social isolation in a community, enhanced civic participation, tangible improvements in well-being, things that actually matter to human flourishing.
And how do we ensure these systems are truly reflective of the people they're meant to serve? How do we get the community involved authentically?
That's where participatory design becomes crucial. It's not an afterthought.
Right.
It's about actively involving the end users, students, patients, community leaders, whoever, in shaping the AI systems right from conception all the way through deployment.
Making sure their local knowledge, their moral intuitions get integrated.
Exactly. So AI becomes an extension of collective wisdom and discernment, not just something imposed from the outside.
So it's really about shifting AI from just being efficient or smart in a narrow sense to truly seeing and serving humanity in its fullness.
Exactly. And that dedication to human service brings us to some really vital guiding principles Alston lays out, like Dr. Myles Munroe's powerful framework of dominion with humility.
Dominion. That concept sounds powerful, maybe even a bit concerning to some ears. But Munroe's teachings, as Alston interprets them, suggest it's not about domination, is it?
Not at all. That's a key clarification.
Yeah.
Dominion, in this specific context, is framed as caring for and shepherding creation. And that includes the technologies we create, like AI.
So it's a responsibility.
A profound one. It challenges technologists, designers, everyone involved to approach innovation with humility, acknowledging that AI arises from human ingenuity, which itself can be seen as an expression of the divine image.
So it means constantly asking.
Constantly asking, how does this specific technology, this algorithm, this application reflect God's intention for human flourishing? Is it contributing or detracting?
That's a heavy question. And how does this connect back to helping the most vulnerable populations?
It directly prioritizes them. Dominion with humility means that AI development should prioritize the needs of marginalized groups.
Those lacking access, facing systemic inequities.
Yes, it calls for that humility to actually engage diverse voices, especially those most likely to be affected, perhaps negatively, by technological disruptions, rather than just chasing profit or novelty.
So it's also about making sure AI is truly accountable and transparent, especially when things inevitably go wrong.
Absolutely. Dominion, in this view, demands acknowledging when AI causes harm. You can't sweep it under the rug.
Like with discriminatory hiring algorithms we mentioned.
Exactly. Acknowledging it, taking swift reparative action, not just tweaking the code, and being genuinely transparent about data sources, audit trails.
Not hiding behind the black box excuse.
Right. No more hiding behind proprietary black boxes. This kind of openness aligns with the principle that leaders are ultimately servants to those they govern or serve.
It sounds like we can't just think about individual AI choices in isolation then. It's about the whole system.
Precisely. We have to consider how our influence over AI, our dominion, interacts with the entire social, economic, cultural ecosystem. It's all connected.
Which requires?
It necessitates building genuine partnerships with communities, civil society groups, academia, government, ensuring a relational framework for development, not just top-down decisions.
Beyond dominion, Alston also emphasizes biblical justice, but specifically in digital spaces. What does that mean practically for, say, our online interaction?
Well, at its heart, it's the conviction that because every person carries inherent dignity, that Imago Dei, again, they deserve fair and equitable treatment in our digital world, just as much as in the physical one.
Okay. And where does this justice need to be applied most urgently in digital spaces? What are the key areas?
Alston highlights several. First, content moderation.
A huge issue right now.
Huge. And justice here means reevaluating those engagement metrics that often reward outrage. Instead, foregrounding the promotion of diverse, constructive voices and actively suppressing hate speech. Cultivating healthier online communities.
So it's not just about maximizing clicks or time on site, but about the quality of the interaction, the health of the space.
Exactly. It's a different goal. Second, access to resources.
The digital divide.
Yes, addressing the digital divide through practical things. Affordable broadband, community tech hubs, accessible interfaces, ensuring vulnerable populations aren't left further behind by technology.
Makes sense. What else?
Third, data privacy and surveillance. This framework views privacy not just as a preference, but as a kind of sacred boundary.
A sacred boundary. I like that framing.
It calls for privacy by design principles baked in from the start, and robust, understandable consent mechanisms to protect people against exploitation of their data.
That's critical for protecting individual autonomy, isn't it? And what about the people actually doing the work that powers many digital services?
Right. Fourth, gig economy labor. Justice here demands fair compensation, transparent fee structures, and supporting collective advocacy for workers on platforms that often, let's be honest, circumvent traditional labor protections.
That's a big one. And lastly,
And finally, restorative practices. When digital harm does occur, like cyberbullying or online harassment, the emphasis shifts. It prioritizes healing over purely punitive measures. Perhaps through things like mediated dialogues, restorative justice circles online, community service initiatives focused on digital citizenship, repairing the harm, not just punishing the offender.
okay, all of this dominion justice, it sounds like, it hinges entirely on earning and maintaining trust. How does abundant AI approach trust, truth, and transparency in these AI systems?
Crucially, it emphasizes that trust in AI isn't demanded, it's earned.
How is it earned?
Through consistent reliability, demonstrable ethical soundness, and clear alignment with shared human values. It has to be built layer by layer.
And what does true transparency look like in this context? It has to be more than just publishing like dense technical documentation, right?
Oh, much more. Real transparency means disclosing data sources clearly, articulating the model's limitations, what it can't do reliably, and providing clear, accessible channels for users to question or even appeal decisions made by the AI.
Empowering stakeholders to understand what's going on under the hood.
Exactly, like the AI showing its work, not just spitting out an answer you have to take on faith.
So transparency is critical. But what about truth itself? How does an AI system embody truth?
Truth, in this sense, means being rigorously honest about AI's strengths and its limitations. especially in high-stakes decisions, loan approvals, medical diagnoses, parole recommendations.
Places where errors have huge consequences.
Huge. This demands rigorous data governance, constantly auditing data sets for representativeness and bias, ensuring that models aren't making claims they can't back up or that disproportionately affect certain groups.
And when AI systems inevitably make mistakes, as they will, how does this framework handle accountability? Who is responsible then?
It requires defining clear accountability structures in advance. Who is responsible when an AI misses a critical diagnosis or contributes to a wrongful arrest?
That's often murky now.
Very mucky. This framework calls for things like independent oversight bodies, clear incident response protocols, ensuring that trust isn't completely shattered when mistakes inevitably happen. There needs to be recourse.
So it's really about demystifying AI, bringing people into the conversation, building understanding rather than keeping them in the dark.
Precisely. It involves proactive communication. Things like educational initiatives, workshops, tutorials aimed at empowering users and building a culture of trust through dialogue, not to spike the complexity.
Okay, we've explored the core vision, the guiding principles. Now, let's get really practical. How does this vision actually manifest in the real world? Let's start with AI in education and maybe discipleship. How can personalized learning help with something as deep as purpose discovery?
Well, Alston suggests AI can craft truly bespoke learning journeys, based not just on test scores, but on student strengths, their actual interests, their engagement patterns.
Okay.
So imagine an AI tutor working with a student learning about ecological systems. It might prompt them to reflect not just on the science, but on how this knowledge deepens their appreciation for, say, a stewardship mandate, or their connection to the natural world.
Connecting learning to meaning.
Exactly. And it can also expand access dramatically, getting high quality, culturally and even spiritually relevant content to learners in remote areas who might lack resources.
So it's not just about learning facts more efficiently, but connecting those facts to a bigger personal or ethical purpose. That's a compelling idea. And there's a specific case study mentioned about AI tutors in what are called kingdom microschools. Tell us more about that.
Yes, these are typically small, often church-affiliated learning communities. They can use AI to bridge significant resource gaps.
Like lack of specialist teachers.
Precisely. For instance, think of a rural community with limited STEM educators. AI tutors could potentially blend STEM content with a broader ethical or theological framework, maybe exploring how mathematical harmony reflects concepts of creation or design.
Interesting blend.
And it can offer targeted scaffolding for neurodiverse learners, maybe thread daily reflection themes or virtues into academic tasks like connecting faithfulness in small things to meticulous statistical analysis.
Wow.
And even support community engagement projects. Maybe AI helps students analyze local food insecurity data to design more effective outreach strategies for their church or community group.
It's really incredible how AI, envisioned this way, can bridge those seemingly disparate worlds: tech, faith, community action. Shifting gears a bit, how is this vision of AI transforming health, healing, and wellness?
Well, one area is integrating AI with wearable monitors. This creates continuous data streams, allowing for real-time health assessments.
Moving towards preventative care.
Exactly. Shifting from reactive treatment to proactive preventative care based on your unique data. Alston also mentions the potential for mental health bots, like one hypothetically named Comfort in Christ.
Okay.
These could be accessible via low-bandwidth mobile networks, offering anonymous, maybe faith-informed initial counseling or support, especially where traditional services are scarce or stigmatized.
That kind of accessible mental health support sounds critically important for so many people, especially in underserved communities. Can you give us a concrete example of this kind of health AI in action?
Yeah, there's a fascinating pilot project Alston highlights called Health in His Hands, operating in sub-Saharan Africa.
Okay, what do they do?
They use mobile clinics equipped with AI-driven tools like portable ultrasound scanners, blood analyzers. This tech transmitted data to cloud platforms for analysis, helping generate personalized care plans quickly, even in remote settings.
So bringing diagnostics closer to the people.
Yes. And they also piloted a chatbot, similar to the Comfort in Christ idea, but trained specifically on culturally relevant African proverbs and wisdom figures, offering anonymous counseling support.
Culturally tuned, that seems key.
Absolutely key. The system also helped with public health, predicting potential disease outbreaks based on aggregated data, optimizing health education campaigns, like mosquito net distribution timing.
But the most crucial insight here you mentioned earlier
Was the ethical governance. It wasn't just tech deployment. Local church leaders and community elders were involved in overseeing the project, and they actually caught and corrected a dangerous bias in the AI.
What was the bias?
The AI, trained perhaps on incomplete or skewed data, was disproportionately flagging anemia in women, potentially leading to misallocation of resources or unnecessary concern. The community leaders, knowing their population, spotted the anomaly.
So the community-led ethical vigilance actually worked. It wasn't just theoretical.
It worked. It's a powerful validation of involving the community not just as recipients, but as governors of the technology affecting them.
That's incredible. Okay, moving to another fascinating area, generative AI in the creative sector. AI creating art, music, stories. What are the big ethical challenges here from this perspective?
Oh, this area is loaded with them. Questions of authenticity. What does it mean if an AI creates art? Authorship, who owns the copyright? And cultural appropriation becomes a huge risk.
How so?
Well, imagine AI language models trained predominantly on Western literary canons, trying to generate stories reflecting indigenous worldviews. They might flatten nuances or perpetuate stereotypes without even realizing it.
So transparency and consent are critical.
Paramount, especially around the data used for training. Are artists being compensated if their work is used? Is sensitive cultural knowledge being scraped without permission? Avoiding exploitation is key.
So it's not just about whether AI can create, but how it creates, and whose creative labor it's potentially building upon or replacing. Is there a good example of how AI can enhance creativity ethically within this framework?
Alston offers a case study of gospel music featuring AI-generated harmonics coming out of a Midwestern church.
How did that work?
An AI platform was trained specifically on public domain, gospel hymns, and sacred choral works, avoiding copyright issues. It then synthesized novel harmonic backdrops and progressions.
Okay, so the AI provided a foundation.
Exactly. Then, the human choir vocalists would take these AI-generated harmonic structures and infuse them with their own improvisational riffs, melisma, and emotional interpretation. A true blend of human spirit and AI capability.
And the ethical framework.
Included meticulous curation of the training data, ensuring cultural sensitivity in the AI's output, and importantly, involving the congregation. They use digital polls during services to get feedback on harmonic choices, refining the AI's parameters iteratively.
So it was a community-driven, collaborative process.
Very much so, demonstrating how human creativity and AI can potentially partner rather than compete within strong ethical boundaries.
That's a wonderful example of human-AI collaboration. But let's be realistic, these AI for good initiatives, they don't always go perfectly smoothly, right? It must happen sometimes that things fail.
Oh, absolutely.
How do we learn from those moments? What about what Alston calls redemptive pivots?
Yeah, Alston is clear that not all these initiatives succeed immediately. Failure is part of innovation, especially when you're trying something new and complex in challenging environments. The key is learning from missteps and making those redemptive pivots, not just giving up.
Can you give us some example of such a pivot? What kind of failures are we talking about?
Well, one notable example he mentions was a mental health chatbot deployed in Southeast Asia. It inadvertently caused distress for some users.
Why?
Because it fundamentally misinterpreted certain cultural idioms and nuances related to expressing emotional pain. Its Western-centric training just didn't translate properly.
So what was the pivot?
The pivot involved halting the bot's rollout and collaborating deeply with local faith-based organizations and cultural experts to co-develop a new, culturally attuned version from the ground up. Learning from the failure led to a better, more respectful solution.
Okay, that makes sense. Another example.
Another was a digital literacy initiative aimed at refugee youth. It initially failed quite simply due to a lack of basic infrastructure, no reliable internet access, inconsistent power. The tech couldn't function.
A common problem.
Very common. The pivot there was ingenious. They partnered with local churches and community centers to establish solar-powered learning oases places with reliable power and connectivity. And they shifted to delivering offline curricula via preloaded tablets, adapting the solution to the reality on the ground.
That adaptability, that willingness to pivot based on reality, not just the initial plan, seems crucial. It makes me wonder, how do you build that redemptive pivot mindset into an organization or a project from the start? Is it about the culture or specific processes or both?
It's definitely both. And it starts, Alston argues, with what he calls kingdom-centered data governance.
Kingdom-centered data governance, what does that involve?
It means treating data not just as a commodity or raw information, but as a sacred trust, a profound responsibility.
Practically, what does that look like?
It means prioritizing truly informed consent, robust data protection, strong encryption, strict access controls, and crucially, equitable governance structures for the data itself. Maybe community representatives on oversight committees deciding how data is used.
Giving the community a real say in how their data is managed. And how do we make sure that AI isn't just serving the needs and reflecting the biases of the already privileged, which is a huge risk.
It's a massive risk. That calls for the intentional, proactive inclusion of underserved voices, right from the data collection and model training stages.
How do you do that effectively?
It means actively reaching out to low-income neighborhoods, indigenous populations, refugee communities, people with disabilities groups often excluded. Gathering qualitative insights, not just quantitative data, actively enriching data sets with things like local financial histories or non-traditional educational metrics, where standard digital footprints might be limited or misleading.
Going the extra mile to get representative data. And how do we ensure that the systems themselves, the algorithms, the interfaces, are transparent and aligned with these values from the very beginning?
That's where transparent, explainable, and values-aligned design comes in. It has to be foundational.
Okay, break that down. Transparent design.
Prioritizing openness in the code where possible, clear data provenance, where did the training data come from?
Explainable design.
Using explainable AI techniques, things sometimes called XAI, like LIME, or shape values methods that help clarify why an AI made a specific decision or prediction. Again, showing its work.
And values aligned.
This means embedding those core kingdom principles, justice, mercy, humility, dignity, directly into the AI's objectives and constraints during development.
How? Can you give an example?
Sure. You might explicitly set fairness thresholds in an algorithm, ensuring outcomes don't disproportionately harm any group. Or you might build in penalties for discriminatory outcomes during the model's training process, making the values operational in the code.
So what does all this mean for the bigger picture, for broader AI policy, advocacy, and trying to achieve global equity in how AI is developed and used?
It means approaching regulation through this justice lens, crafting laws and policies that don't just react to harm after it happens, but proactively work to ensure AI serves the vulnerable and upholds human dignity.
What might that look like?
It might include things like regulatory sandboxes. Essentially controlled environments where new, potentially risky AI innovations can be tested safely under close supervision before being unleashed on the public, like a secure test track for ethical tech development.
And tackling that digital divide on a larger systemic scale.
Absolutely. Fair access, affordability, and infrastructure are non-negotiable from this perspective. It means systemic efforts to address digital divides through robust infrastructure projects, maybe publicly funded or incentivized like those solar-powered internet gateways, subsidized services for low-income users. Comprehensive digital literacy training may be delivered through trusted community institutions.
You mentioned churches earlier, potentially serving as community tech hubs.
Exactly, leveraging existing community anchors to bridge the gap.
And finally, this can't just be a local or national effort, can it? A global perspective seems essential.
It truly is. Given AI's global reach and impact, there's a profound need for global alignment and collaboration.
In what way?
Perhaps through international bodies working together to draft model regulations or ethical guidelines that reflect these core human-centric kingdom-oriented values. Frameworks that are adaptable to diverse local contexts but share a common foundation of dignity and justice. Ensuring that AI development and deployment are equitable across the world, not just benefiting a few wealthy nations or corporations.
Wow, what a journey we've taken through the ideas in Abundant AI. It's really, it's transformed how I think about this powerful technology, moving beyond the usual narratives.
It certainly offers a compelling alternative vision, doesn't it? We've moved from those initial understandable fears of AI to seeing it potentially as a tool for responsible stewardship. We've seen the critical importance of what Alston calls redemptive design.
And explored some fascinating, really hopeful, real-world applications across health, education, business, justice, even the creative arts.
Grounded in those core principles.
Yeah. So, as you, our listener, reflect on this deep dive, what stands out most sharply to you? How might AI, if guided by these principles of justice, mercy, compassion, how might it reshape the world around you, your community, your work?
And maybe here's a final provocative thought to leave you with. If AI as we've discussed, can demonstrably learn and adapt based on the data and objectives we give it. How might your own conscious efforts day by day to infuse your interactions, your decisions, your work with compassion, with justice, with humility, how might that contribute to the collective training data, so to speak, for creating a more abundant future? Both technologically, yes, but perhaps more importantly, relationally.